Hi, welcome back to my YouTube channel Daysi DIY. Today I'm sharing with you guys an easy home decor project. I hope you enjoy. If you do, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. Thank you so much. For the first project, I'm going to reuse this frame that I had for a really long time. I'm pretty sure that you guys can create this beautiful project with a Dollar Tree frame. I'm using the Restore chalk paint on color grade. I got this paint from Home Depot. I just did one coat and I just let it dry. The next thing, I'm going to use a piece of cardboard because my picture frame, it didn't have the part from the frame. I just cut it at the side of my frame and I just bend it a little bit, the piece of cardboard, because I want this line to show a little bit once we paint it. So to paint the piece of cardboard, I'm using the Restore chalk paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry, and once it was completely dry, I just went over just a few parts where it needs a little bit of more paint and I just let it dry. I'm using these wood numbers that I got from Dollar Tree. I was gonna use letters, but I couldn't find all my letters, so I'm like, let's improvise and let's do something else because I want something to display on the top of the wood ornaments that we're gonna be using in a minute. I decided to use the number 1, 2, 3, and 4, and to paint it, I used the same paint, the Restore chalk paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. I decided to distress it a little bit the numbers, and for that I just used the Waverly anti-wax, and I did the same step with the other numbers. The next thing, I'm gonna be using these wood ornaments that I got from Dollar Tree as well. They're wood pines, and I decided to use the same paint, the Restore chalk paint on color gray. I just did one coat and I just let it dry, and I did the same step with the other 3 pieces, and once they were completely dry, I distressed it a little bit too because I want this piece of wood pines to blend with the numbers that we just paint so they can blend all together. I just used the Waverly anti-wax. I'm gonna be using this beautiful ribbon, and I just create this beautiful bow. I'm not really well at creating bows. I'm just gonna show you how I did this bow. So I just cut 2 pieces and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it, and once I was done, I just cut the tails of the bow, and with a piece of jute twine, I just wrap it around a few times to tie it. And once we're done creating this beautiful bow, I'm just gonna use a little bit of hot glue to glue it on the top of the piece of wood pine, and also I just glued the number on the top, and for that I just did a combination of wood glue and hot glue for a strong hold. I'm gonna be using 4 clothespins that I got from Dollar General. I didn't paint it, they were already in this beautiful color, and I just placed them this way, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. If you guys want a strong hold, I would recommend you guys to use wood glue. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful, and like I mentioned before, you guys can recreate this beautiful project just with the picture frame from the Dollar Tree because basically everything is from Dollar Tree, so it's just perfect to recreate this project. But please let me know what you guys think about our first project. Today, I'm taking part in the Trash to Treasure collab that is being hosted by the amazing Liyana from Liyana DIY'S, and her co-host for this month is Josy from Josy's Crafts, and all these talented friends that they're participating with us today. I will leave the link of the playlist and also the link of her channels in my description box below. Thank you so much, Liyana, for hosting this wonderful collab. For the next project, I'm using this wall plant hanger. I decided to paint it, and for that I used the Restylane chalk paint on color white. I just did one coat and I just let it dry. You guys can see I didn't cover it all the way because I really love the color that it has under to show a little bit. So once it's completely dry, I went over with this piece of sandpaper just to remove a little bit of the paint so it can show the color under. Also, I went over with the Waverly anti-wax just in a few parts, and I did especially on the edges. I'm gonna be using this craft square adhesive core sheet that I got from Dollar Tree, and here's that measurement just in case if you guys need it. It measures 4.5 inches and 1.5 inches wide. Also, I'm gonna be using this stencil that I got from Dollar Tree as well, and I'm just using the word home, and to paint it I just used again the Restylane chalk paint on color white. I did 2 coats and I just let it dry. The other thing that I did and I didn't show in the video, that I removed a little bit of the paint, and I just used a sandpaper to remove a little bit of the paint. I just used this E6000. One of my subscribers, she mentioned that adhesive from this core sheet is pretty strong, but I decided to use just a little bit of that E6000. I'm gonna be using 2 thumbtacks because it was missing something on that top, and I think it was the touch that I need, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. I didn't show you, but I also put a small bow, and I show you how I create this small bow in the first project that we did, and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. And to put inside, I just used a piece of this eucalyptus that I got from Dollar Tree. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. I think it turned out really gorgeous. I love it, but please let me know what do you guys think about this project. For the next project, I'm going to be using this wood tray that I had for a really long time, so you guys can see it's a little bit damaged, but for that I just used a little bit of wood glue, and also I just used a little bit of the spackling to cover a few parts where it needs a few repairs, and I just let it dry. And to paint it, I just used the Restylane chalk paint on color white. I did 1 coat and I just let it dry. The other thing that I decided to do to cover these metal parts with a few pieces of the painter's tape, because I didn't want to paint these pieces. And to distress it a little bit more, I just used that Waverly anti-wax, and I just distressed especially on the edges of the wood tray. The next thing, I just used 12 pieces of the wood craft cubes, and I just used a combination of wood glue and hot glue to glue it, the 3 pieces together. And once I glue the 3 pieces, I just glue it to the tray so we can give these legs to the tray. And I just did the same step. I used the same paint to paint it so they can blend together with the wood tray. And once it was completely dry, I just removed the pieces of the painter's tape. I'm going to be using this wall sticker that I got from Dollar Tree, and I'm just going to be using this piece of the wall sticker, and I just did 1 cotton Mod Podge under so we can seal the sticker very well. And also I just did another cotton Mod Podge on the top, and I just let it dry. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful. I love it. And especially the colors, how they blend all together. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about the project? For the next project, I'm gonna be using another piece of cardboard, and I just bend it a little bit so we can mark the piece of cardboard, because I really love it how on the other project it gives this texture to the piece of cardboard once you paint it. And to paint it, I used the Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. I'm going to reuse another picture frame that I had on hand, and to paint it I used again the same paint, the Rust-Oleum chalk paint. I did one coat and I just let it dry. I didn't cover it all the way, the picture frame, because I really love the color that it has under. The next thing, we're going to be using one free printable that I found on Google. It's really beautiful. What I did, I just cut the words in the beautiful pumpkin and I just place it on the top of the picture frame. I decided to use my pencil just to mark it a little bit so I can guide from the line so I can put the pumpkin and the letters. And to put the beautiful image, I just did one coat on Mod Podge first on that image, and I just did another coat on that piece of cardboard, and I just placed my image. And once I was done with the same brush, I just went over in the image so we can smooth a little bit so I won't have that many wrinkles. Also, I decided to do another coat on Mod Podge on the top, and once we're completely done, I just placed the piece of cardboard and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. I didn't like it how it looks on the back, so I just went over and I just paint the back so it can has a finished look, and it turned out really beautiful. I'm gonna be using a few pieces of this fall grass that I got from Dollar Tree. They're really beautiful, and I just cut a few stems and I just place it on the bottom. It was missing something else in my picture frame, so I just used two large wood craft sticks and I just painted with a Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. And once it was dry, I went over with the Waverly anti-wax. The other paint that I used, it was the Waverly chalk paint on color moss. And once I was done painting the two pieces, I just put them on the top and I just used a little bit of hot glue to glue it. It was the missing thing that I need. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really beautiful. I love it. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? For the next project, I'm going to be using another metal wall basket that I had on hand. And to paint it, I used the Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white. I did one coat and I just let it dry. Also, I decided to paint inside of the basket so it can has a finished look. And once it's completely dry, I just use a small piece of sandpaper to remove a little bit of the paint. To distress it a little bit more because it needs a little bit of color, I just used the Waverly anti-wax and I just distress them a little bit in the edges and also right here in the top so they can blend all together, and I just let it dry. I'm gonna be using this beautiful piece of wood hanging decor card that I got from Dollar Tree, and to paint it I used the Waverly anti-wax, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. I'm going to use another beautiful pre-printable that I found on Pinterest, and I just cut the letters in the design because it was a little bit bigger my image to put them in the piece of wood. And once I was done, I just did one coat on Mod Podge to put the letters. Also, I did another coat on Mod Podge on the top so we can seal everything very well. I decided to distress it a little bit because it didn't blend very well with my basket. So for that, I just used the same paint, that Rust-Oleum chalk paint on color white, and I just distressed it the way that I want it, and I think it turned out really beautiful. I'm gonna be using 2 wood beads that I got from Amazon, and I just painted with the Waverly anti-wax, and I just did one coat and I just let it dry. I'm going to do this technique that our talented friend Sammy from Unicorn Does Design, she showed us. She saw this technique from a talented friend from YouTube, Deidre from our Upcycle Life. I will link it down below in my description box below the video so you guys can see step by step what she did. So she just put a little bit of paint in a small container, and I just put the wood beads in the container, and I just put the lid, and I just give it a good shake so you guys can see. My daughter, she saw me that I was having so much fun, and she decided to help me doing this step. She was so excited doing it. So once I was done, I just put everything together. I used the same piece of jute twine, and I just put the 2 wood beads, and with the same piece of jute twine, I just put it all around on the top of the basket, and I just wrap it a few times. And with my scissors, I just cut the remaining piece of jute twine, and also I just use a little bit of hot glue so it won't frame that piece of jute twine. And this is how it looks our project once we're done. It turned out really gorgeous, the basket. I love it how it looks with all the colors, and once I put this beautiful greenery inside, it was the touch that I need. But please let me know in the comments down below, what do you guys think about this project? And please don't forget to see all the videos that all these talented friends that they're participating today. Thank you so much, Liyana, for hosting this wonderful collab. So that was it for today's video. Thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please don't forget to give me a big thumbs up. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please subscribe and hit the bell icon to be notified every time that I upload new video. And please don't forget to follow me on Instagram and Facebook. Thank you so much and have an amazing day.